Hey everyone, so in this video we are going to review histograms and how to create them and how to analyze them using Desmos graphing, which is one of my favorite tools for your math class. Okay, so let's start out by just doing a histogram of L1. So you can see here, this is my first list of data. I just type in L1 equals, I believe these are open parentheses, or I'm sorry, open brackets. And then you just put your list of elements in here. Each value should be separated by a comma, and then you'll see right here it tells you how many elements are in that list. So if I wanted to display a histogram of that data, all I do is I just type in histogram, and then I just type in the name of my list. It's easy to get that one to be a subscript, which just means it's smaller and off to the right. Once all I did was push one, and it automatically did that for me. So now you can see this nice display over here. You can see this is how to just toggle it on and off. And then, yeah, so count just basically means that the height of each bar is going to show you a count of how many items in the list have that value. So for example, 0 here has a height of 1. So that tells me that in this list I have one value with a value of 0, or one item with a value of 0 is probably a better way of phrasing that. And then let's just say, for example, 3 here, the height of that is 2. So that means that I have 2 items with a value of 3. Yep, and then basically you can align this left or you can align it center. I prefer to do center, but of course you can do left as well. Basically what that means is that the value like 0 is on the left side of the bar, or like 2, it would be on the left side of this. I find that a little more confusing. I think center is a little more straightforward because now 0 is centered and it's a little bit easier just to see that 0 has a height of 1. So now let's just talk about histograms briefly. You can see here, I just kind of put it in text. Why are histograms useful? They are a great way just for showing you the distribution of the data, meaning just really just the shape of the data, right? It's pretty easy to see here that most of your values are around 5, right? 4 and 6 are also pretty common, and then the tails, right, on either side, like 0 and 10, those are less common. So yeah, and then basically a lot of the questions for a histogram are going to ask you about the shape. So it might say like, is it skewed, is it symmetrical, or is it bimodal? So now we're going to go through a couple more examples so that you can see what each of those distributions look like. This distribution here is a good example of symmetrical data. So it's pretty symmetrical around the value 5. It doesn't have to be exact, but it's roughly, it's a pretty good mirror on the left side and the right side of 5. So now let's take a look at our second list of data here. This is a good example of skewed data, right? You can see how most of the values are over there near 10. Most of them are on the right side of that graph. And then let's take a look at one the other way. So here you can see most of our values are around 1, right? So this is another example of skewed data. And you can just see it's very different, right? This is symmetrical. Symmetrical is like in the middle. Skewed is off to a side, right? And then there are two other important ones. Let's take a look at our fourth list. This is what's called uniform. Uniform basically just means that it's the same, right? Uniform is the same. So you can see all of these values have one item, right? So it's just straight across. That's how you can identify uniform data. And then finally, let's take a look at our fifth list. Here we go. This is it's a little bit messy, but you can see here, this is an example of bimodal data. So again, the prefix bi means 2. And then these are kind of called modes, right? So you have these two kind of averages that you would see on your graph. So this is characterized by 2 peaks, right? So this is unimodal, this has 1 peak. This is bimodal, so it has 2 peaks. All right, thanks so much for watching. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to shift this graph right or left using a slider. I had a question about this in a comment. I'm not really sure why we would want to do this, but I'm going to do that in the next video. And then I will continue on with box plots. Thanks so much for watching.